I still remember the day everything collapsed. The air felt heavier than usual, and the silence in my apartment sounded like judgment. "Ethan," Lena said, pacing across the room. "Your investors pulled out again, didn't they?" I nodded, staring at the empty coffee mug on the table. "They said the app has no market." "They're not wrong. I messed it up." She crossed her arms. "You didn't mess up. You wasted years chasing something that was never going to work." "That's harsh," I said quietly. "You used to believe in me. I believed in the idea of you," she snapped. "The guy who had big dreams, who looked like he'd make it. But look at you now." I swallowed hard. "So that's it? You're walking away because I failed once?" Her voice softened just enough to sting. "Ethan, I can't live like this. I'm tired of being broke, tired of hearing you say next time I didn't sign up to date a loser." The word loser hit like a slap. I stared at her, trying to find the girl who once called me her forever. "You really mean that?" She sighed. "I've already packed my stuff. I'm moving out tonight." I blinked. "Tonight?" "Ryan offered to help," she said without hesitation. My heart froze. "Ryan? My friend Ryan?" She didn't answer. Her phone buzzed and she smiled faintly. That told me everything. "Wow," I muttered, forcing a laugh that didn't sound human. "You couldn't even wait a day." She grabbed her purse. "You'll understand someday. I need stability. You need reality."
Ow!
When the door closed behind her, the room felt colder than winter. I sat there for what felt like hours, staring at the spot she used to sit. The sound of her voice echoing like a curse. My phone lit up with a new message. "Ryan, you'll bounce back, bro. Don't take it personally." I wanted to throw the phone against the wall. Instead, I just typed, "Take care of her," and hit send. My hands shook as I set the phone down. Later that night, Daniel, my brother, called. "You okay?" He asked. "Define okay," I whispered. He sighed. "I told you not to trust her. You always think people are better than they are," I said. "I guess I do. You need to get real, Ethan. Dreams don't pay rent. Come work at Dad's shop for a while." I didn't respond. The thought of giving up everything I'd worked for felt worse than losing Lena. Daniel kept talking. "Don't be stubborn. You're not 20 anymore. Failure isn't romantic." "I know," I said, though my voice cracked. "But I can't just stop trying." Sighed again. "Fine. Just don't expect anyone to wait for you." When the call ended, I stared at my reflection in the dark window. Messy hair, sunken eyes, a man who believed too much in hope. By midnight, I was lying on my friend Mark's couch staring at the ceiling. He tossed me a blanket. "Rough night?" he asked. "Something like that," I said. "She dumped you?" I laughed bitterly. "You could say she upgraded." He frowned. "You'll bounce back, man. You always do."
At this time,
I muttered. "She took more than love. She took what was left of my belief." He didn't know what to say. The silence between us felt heavy, filled with things I couldn't explain. The humiliation, the ache, the feeling that the world had moved on without me. At 3 a.m., I checked social media like a fool. Lena had posted a picture, her and Ryan, smiling at some rooftop bar. The caption read, "Finally, where I belong." My chest tightened. I wanted to hate her, but all I felt was emptiness. "Guess you found where you belong to," I whispered to the screen. Mark stirred from the other couch. "You okay?" "No," I said quietly. "But maybe that's the point." The room fell silent again. Outside, the city lights flickered like fading promises. I closed my eyes and realized something. This wasn't rock bottom. This was the beginning of it. 6 months later, I was still counting coins at gas stations, pretending it was temporary. Every morning started with the same lie. "I'm fine." "Double shift again?" My roommate Mark asked as I put on the delivery jacket. "Rent's not going to pay itself," said, forcing a smile. He frowned. "You ever sleep?" "Sleep's for people who can afford dreams." He didn't push. He never did. He just handed me my phone. "You've got another coffee run. Downtown big firm. Don't spill this time." "Yeah," I said. "Wouldn't want to lose my glamorous career." The elevator ride to the 40th floor felt endless. The office smelled of glass, perfume, and money. The kind of air that used to belong to me before everything crashed. "Delivery for Carter Technologies?" said to the receptionist. She barely looked up. "CEO's waiting inside. Be careful with that tray." When I pushed open the glass door, I saw a man in his 50s standing by the window. His suit probably cost more than my month's rent. "Coffee delivery?" he asked, turning around. "Yes, sir." I tried to sound steady, but my hands betrayed me. The tray tilted, and hot coffee spilled over the edge. "Oh no," I stammered. "I'm so sorry, sir." He looked down at the mess on his table, then back at me. "You all right?" I blinked. "What?" "You're shaking," he said calmly. "Relax, it's just coffee." Swallowed hard. "I didn't expect kindness today," smiled faintly. "What's your name?" "Ethan." "Well, Ethan, do you always look this miserable, or is today special?" I almost laughed. "A bit of both," he gestured toward a chair. "Sit down. You look like you need a break." "I really shouldn't sit," he said, not unkindly. "Tell me something. What did you want to do before coffee became your life?" I hesitated. "I had a startup. A software idea that failed." He raised an eyebrow. "Failed how?" "Investors pulled out. I lost everything. Girlfriend, savings, confidence. All gone." He leaned forward. "And what was the idea?" I told him, voice trembling but honest, about the app that matched freelancers with small businesses on micro projects. How it could have worked if I'd had the right team. When I finished, he just nodded thoughtfully. "That's actually smart." I blinked. "You think so?" "I know so," he said. "You just lacked backing, not vision." I laughed bitterly. "Backing's everything in this world." "Not always," he replied. "Sometimes someone just needs to see you." I didn't know how to respond. No one had seen me in months. He stood and looked at his calendar. "We're expanding into freelance solutions. I could use someone who understands the struggle from the ground up." I froze. "Are you serious?" "Completely." "How soon can you stop delivering coffee?" I almost dropped the empty tray. "Right now." "I mean today." He chuckled. "Let's call it next week. Come in Monday. We'll start small, consultant role. You prove yourself, you stay." I just stared at him, trying to process what he'd said. "Why would you take a chance on me?" He shrugged. "Because I spilled plenty of coffee in my life, too. Everyone deserves a second try." When I stepped back into the elevator, my reflection didn't look defeated anymore. I caught myself smiling, small, shaky, but real. Mark called as I reached the ground floor. "How'd it go?" "You didn't get fired again, did you?" I laughed. "Actually, I think I just got hired." "No way." "Doing what?" "I don't know yet," I said, grinning. "But it's not delivering coffee," he whistled. "Guess luck finally remembered your name." "Maybe," I said quietly. "Or maybe someone finally looked past the mess." That night, for the first time in months, I didn't fall asleep feeling like a failure. I fell asleep wondering, what if this is my second chance? The first week at Carter Technologies nearly killed me. I was buried in spreadsheets I barely understood, running on caffeine and fear. "Ethan, you look like you've been awake since 2005, Chloe said, sliding a mug toward me. I blinked at her. "Have I mentioned how much I hate Excel?" She smirked. "Only every hour." "Good," I muttered. "Consistency matters." She leaned against the desk. "You know, most new consultants quit after the first month." "I'm not most people," clearly she said. "Most people don't rewrite project models at 2 a.m. just to prove a point." "I'm just tired of losing," I admitted. Her tone softened. "You're not losing. You're rebuilding." That word stuck with me all day. Rebuilding. It sounded better than starting from nothing. By week 3, I was pulling 12-hour days. Mr. Carter stopped by once during a late shift. "You still here?" he asked. "Trying to make sense of this data set," I said. He studied my screen. "That's the freelance integration model?" "Yeah, I think if we adjust the time allocation, we can reduce overhead by 8%. He nodded slowly. Show me a presentation by Friday. When he left, I turned to Chloe. He said, Friday. Today's Tuesday. She laughed. Then you better drink that coffee faster. We spent 2 nights perfecting the slides. She handled the visuals, I handled the logic. At one point, around midnight, she caught me staring blankly at the monitor. Hey, she said gently. You okay? Yeah, just thinking how far I've fallen. Fallen. She repeated. You're climbing, Ethan. You just don't see it yet. I smiled faintly. Do you always this optimistic? Only when I believe in someone. Her words hit deeper than I expected. For a moment I forgot about Lena, the startup, the failure. I just felt seen. Friday came fast. During the presentation, my voice shook, but my ideas didn't. Mr. Carter listened quietly, nodding at each point. When I finished, the room was silent. Well, he said finally, this could actually work. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in days. You think so? He smiled. I don't think... I know. Prepare the prototype for investor review. When we stepped out, Chloe grinned. Told ya? Don't get too excited, I said. He didn't hire me yet.
Else.
She nudged me. Confidence, genius, you earned this. Weeks turned into months. Projects piled up, but so did my wins. Mr. Carter started looping me into strategy meetings. Investors began remembering my name. One evening, after everyone left, I found Chloe still typing. You ever go home? I asked. Only when you do, she replied. Someone has to make sure you eat. I chuckled. You sound like my mom. She probably says the same thing. Stop working yourself to death. Can't, I said. Feels like I'm finally alive again. She looked at me thoughtfully. You know, when I first met you, you were all edges, guilt, anger, exhaustion. Now, you're starting to look like someone who forgave himself. Her words caught me off guard. Maybe I did. Or maybe I just ran out of energy to hate myself. She smiled. Either way, it looks good on you. For the first time in years, I looked forward to mornings. I wasn't chasing revenge or redemption anymore, just progress. Each new project felt like proof that I still had worth. One night, after another long shift, I caught my reflection in the elevator mirror. I didn't see the guy who'd lost everything. I saw someone who'd survived it. Chloe's voice echoed from behind me. Hey, Ethan, drinks to celebrate? Celebrate what? I asked. Surviving another week without breaking the coffee machine. I laughed. Lead the way as we walked out into the cool night air. I realized something simple, yet powerful. I didn't need to prove anything to anyone anymore. Not to Lena, not to Ryan, not even to myself. For the first time in years, I was exactly where I was supposed to be. The room buzzed with laughter, clinking glasses, and the low hum of small talk. Networking events were never my thing, but tonight I was here for Mr. Carter, not for nostalgia. And then I saw them, Lena, arm in arm with Ryan. My stomach clenched. They looked happy, perfectly matched, perfectly smug. I felt the old ache, the one I thought I had buried 6 months ago, gnawing at my ribs. I took a slow breath. Don't look, I told myself. Keep moving, but Lena's eyes flicked toward me. Her smile faltered for a moment before she forced a laugh, pretending she didn't see me. Ryan, on the other hand, spotted me immediately. That familiar smug grin, the one that used to make me furious, spread across his face. I turned away, my hands tightening around the wine glass. Focus, Ethan. You're not the same person anymore. I wandered to the far side of the room, just trying to engage with someone about the new freelance project. But Ryan's voice reached me anyway. Ethan, hey, he said, sidling up as if we were old friends. I didn't turn. Hello, Ryan. Still working hard, huh? He asked, tone dripping with false admiration. I guess losing Lena taught me a lot. I froze. Oh yeah, he said, shrugging. Guess losing her was the best thing that ever happened to me. I swallowed, the edge of a smile tugging at my lips. I'm glad you think so, he chuckled. I mean, I learned a lot. About priorities. About his eyes darted to Lena briefly. You know, I nodded slowly. Sounds life-changing, he smirked. So you've done well, I hear. I sipped my drink. Yeah, things are moving. Moving, he echoed. Funny how life works out differently than expected. I didn't answer. My mind was calm, more calm than I'd expected. The old desire to yell, to punch, to humiliate, it wasn't there. Instead, I felt something sharper, cleaner, clarity. Lena finally approached, pretending to be busy with a tray of hors d'oeuvres. Ethan, she said, a forced warmth in her voice. It's good to see you. I nodded. Likewise. You look different, she said cautiously. Thanks, I said simply. So do you. Her eyes flicked to Ryan, then back to me. She hesitated, searching my face for something she might recognize, the man she left broken months ago. But I wasn't him anymore, hope your projects are going well, she said. They are, I replied. And I hope yours are too. There was an awkward silence. I realized she was expecting a reaction. Anger, heartbreak, maybe tears. But none of it came. I wasn't fighting them. I was outgrowing them. Ryan cleared his throat. I should probably go. Lena wants to check the dessert table. She looked at me one last time. Good night, Ethan. Good night, I said, calm, almost detached. As they walked away, I felt a strange sense of power. Not the power of revenge, not the power of humiliation, the power of freedom. I wasn't proving anything to them. I was proving it to myself. I leaned against the wall, watching the crowd move around me. Laughter and chatter swirled like ghosts, and for the first time in months, I didn't feel haunted. Instead, I felt ready. Ready to build, to rise, to be someone they couldn't ignore, someone who didn't need their approval. Chloe's voice broke through my thoughts. Everything okay? I turned to her. Better than okay. I finally feel like I'm moving forward. She smiled, but I could see she understood. She'd been watching the transformation quietly. Ryan and Lena might still be in the same room, still trying to define themselves in relation to me. But I wasn't in their story anymore. I had my own, and that was enough. I raised my glass to the empty space between us and whispered to myself. This time I win without even touching the game. The ghosts of the past lingered, sure, but I wasn't afraid anymore. The office smelled like new carpets and ambition. I walked through the halls and noticed people turning to look. Faces that ignored me months ago now greeted me politely, some even nervously. Ethan, can we schedule a meeting about the new integration model? A junior analyst asked. Of course, I said, scanning her notes. Let's set it for Thursday morning. Thursday, she asked, surprised. Yes, sir. I smirked quietly. Not sir, just Ethan. Later my phone rang. It was Daniel, Ethan, he said cautiously. Hey, look, I wanted to apologize. I doubted you, and I shouldn't have. You're doing incredible work, I chuckled. Thanks, Daniel. I appreciate it. Dinner sometime? I want to hear everything firsthand. Sure, I said, hiding the faint smile creeping across my face. Chloe popped her head in my office. Still charming your brother? Trying to, I said. He's surprisingly sincere this time. She leaned against the doorframe. You've changed, Ethan. People notice. Investors notice. I notice. I ran a hand through my hair. Feels weird. Like I'm finally on the other side of the struggle. She smiled. You are. And soon the world will see it too. Speaking of, I said, are we ready for the global launch party? Almost. Just a few final touches on the invitations and media lists, she replied. I glanced at the calendar. This is it. Our big night. After months of hard work, people will finally see what we've built. Chloe grinned. They'll see you to the real Ethan, not the coffee-delivering loser. I laughed softly. Yeah, that guy seems like a lifetime ago. Mr. Carter entered the office with his usual confident stride. Ethan, the press release went out. Our investors are impressed, and several executives want to meet you next week. I raised an eyebrow. Next week? Exactly, he said. You're officially executive director now. Congratulations. Thanks, I said, trying not to grin too widely. Chloe's eyes lit up. See? Told you. People notice when you actually do the work. I nodded. Feels surreal. Everyone who ignored me, all the doubt it's finally turning around. Turning around? She teased. I'd say it's a full-blown power shift. I chuckled. Maybe, but it's more than that. It's about control, finally controlling my own path. Chloe walked beside me as we left the office to check the venue for the party. You've earned every bit of it, she said softly. Not just the promotion, but this feeling, the confidence, the respect. Thanks, I said quietly. You've been the one person who believed in me when I had nothing. I don't forget that. Her grin was faint but genuine. I didn't do it for thanks. I did it because I knew you could get here, and now you're unstoppable. We arrived at the venue, a sleek modern hall overlooking the city skyline. Lights reflected off the glass walls, and staff bustled with final arrangements. This is it, Chloe said. All your hard work, finally public. Ran a hand over my face. I never imagined this. Not even in my dreams. She looked at me seriously. Dreams are good. But this is reality. You made it happen. I glanced around at the staff, at the lights, at the empty stage where our presentation would take place. I hope Lena sees this someday, I muttered quietly. Chloe raised an eyebrow. Focus on tonight. Let them see who you are now. Don't waste energy on anyone else. I nodded. You're right. Tonight is for me. For us. For everything we built. City lights twinkled below us as I stepped to the balcony. For the first time in months, I felt calm, in control, and undeniably alive. No one ignored me anymore. No one doubted me. I was the face of the company now, the one everyone wanted to meet, the one everyone would remember, and I wasn't done yet. My assistant, Jenna, handed me the guest list for the launch party. Everything's set, Ethan. Here's the finalized list. I took the paper casually, scanning names, investors, media, collaborators. And then I stopped. Ryan Blake, Lena Moore. I froze, halfway between a laugh and a hollow ache. My pen hovered over the paper, unsure if I should scratch their names off or not. Ethan, Jenna asked, noticing my pause. Keep it, I said finally, voice calm but tight. Let them come. Jenna blinked. You sure? Positive. Let them see, I said, trying to sound confident, though my chest tightened. She nodded slowly. If you say so. I'll make sure everything else is perfect. After she left, I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. Ryan and Lena. Together. After everything. My first instinct was anger, maybe even humiliation. But it wasn't anger I felt. Not exactly. It was something sharper, cleaner, anticipation. I needed this to be about me, not them. I picked up the phone and called my mom. Her voice was warm and steady. Ethan, honey, how's everything going? I let out a deep sigh. Mom, they're on the guest list. Ryan and Lena? There was a pause. Then she said softly, Son, success isn't about revenge. It's about peace. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. I know, Mom. I get that. Then why does your voice sound like it's plotting something? She teased lightly. I chuckled quietly. Not plotting. Just letting them witness what they lost. That's part of peace too, isn't it? There was a soft silence on the line. Sometimes yes. As long as you don't let it define you. Tonight is your night, Ethan. Not theirs. I held her words close, repeating them under my breath. Not theirs. My night. After the call, I stared at the guest list again. I could almost see their smug faces, imagining how surprised they'd be to find out I was no longer the man they abandoned and underestimated. I rubbed my hands together. It's not about revenge, I muttered. It's about showing them nothing they can take from me now matters. Chloe popped her head in again. Everything okay? You look intense. I held up the list. Just noticed some familiar names. Old ghosts. They're coming tonight, Her eyes flicked to the names. Ah, Lena and Ryan. Exactly. Dotted. I'm not doing this for revenge. Just letting them see me at my best. She grinned. Good. That's all that matters. Focus on your night, not theirs. You've earned this. I leaned back, letting out a slow breath. The nerves were still there, a low hum in my chest. But this time it felt like controlled fire, not panic. Controlled fire? I whispered to myself. Exactly. Focus, Ethan. This is your moment. I glanced at my reflection in the window. For months I'd been building this life, this reputation, this confidence. Tonight, everything came together. I placed the guest list on the desk, letting my fingers rest on it. Ryan and Lena would be there, and I wouldn't crumble. I wouldn't falter, because this wasn't about hurting them. This was about proving to myself that I could rise above everything, the heartbreak, the failure, the doubt, and remain unshaken. I finally smiled at my reflection, quietly, calmly. Tonight is mine. The hall glowed like a golden dream. Crystal chandeliers reflected the light across polished floors. Cameras flashed, and the murmur of excitement filled the air. Tonight, I wasn't the struggling consultant or the failed startup owner. Tonight, I was the host. Ethan, the media's waiting for a word, Chloe said, handing me a microphone. I nodded. Thanks, I'll handle it. She gave me that quiet, knowing smile she always had. You've earned this, it seemed to say. I stepped toward the center, cameras following my every move. People clapped, some cheered. My name echoed through the hall. I smiled politely, shaking hands, exchanging a few words. Every laugh, every greeting reminded me how far I'd come. Then I saw her, Lena. She carried a tray of champagne glasses, wearing the crisp black and white server uniform. She froze as our eyes met. Her hand trembled, just slightly, but enough that I noticed in Ryan. Nowhere. I walked toward her, calm, deliberate. Cameras didn't matter. Reporters didn't matter. The golden lights, the clinking glasses. None of it mattered except the quiet tension between us. Didn't expect to see you here, I said softly, my voice steady. Her lips pressed into a thin line. She forced a smile, but the shimmer of tears betrayed her. Life's unpredictable, isn't it? Yes, I said simply. It is. She looked down at her tray, trying to gather herself. I didn't mean for things to... You don't have to explain, I interrupted gently. We're both here now. That's enough. Her eyes met mine again, brimming with something I once would have called regret. Now, I simply saw reality. A reality where roles had reversed, and I was firmly in control of my life, while she was. Serving drinks, a waiter bumped into me nearby, spilling a drop of champagne. I smiled politely. Careful. Chloe appeared beside me, whispering, Ethan, you okay? I nodded. Perfectly fine. Exactly as it should be. Lena's hand trembled again as she adjusted a glass. I watched her silently, letting the moment linger. I felt no desire to mock, no urge to gloat. I didn't need that. This wasn't about revenge. This was about balance. About life showing the consequences quietly, without fanfare. Everything all right? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Better than all right, I said calmly. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Her lips quivered, and for a second, I almost wanted to speak. Almost wanted to explain the months of struggle and growth, but I didn't. Silence carried more weight than words ever could. Enjoy your evening, I added, turning to leave. She swallowed hard, staring at the back of my head as I walked away. Around her, the laughter, chatter, and music swirled. A world she once navigated freely, one she shared with someone else, was now happening above her, beyond her, around her, and I was at the center of it. I felt a strange clarity, a calm triumph. Not the sharp sting of revenge, not the satisfaction of seeing someone suffer, just peace. The quiet, undeniable confirmation that I had moved past my failures, past her betrayal, and emerged stronger. Unshakable, Chloe joined me at the balcony, the city lights glittering below. You did it, she said quietly. I smiled, looking back through the hall one last time. We did it. Together. She nodded. Tonight isn't about her. It's about you. About everything you've earned. I took a deep breath, the warm night air filling my lungs. I didn't need to turn back. I didn't need to look at Lena again. I didn't need to say more. The tables had turned. Karma had completed its quiet circle. Inside, laughter and music filled the hall. Outside, the city sparkled beneath the stars. And I stood there, free, calm, and alive, the man I always should have been. The past had tried to define me. Failure, heartbreak, betrayal, it had all been there. But tonight, I realized something crucial. None of it mattered anymore. The world had shifted. I had shifted. And the life I wanted? I was living it. I took Chloe's hand and whispered, "Let's make sure this night is unforgettable." She smiled, and together we walked back into the hall. Cameras flashed. People cheered. And somewhere behind the crowd, Lena remained frozen in her moment. A silent reminder that life's turns are often quieter, yet far more powerful than revenge ever could be. The party was winding down, golden lights dimming, and the crowd thinning. I stood near the balcony, nursing a glass of water, letting the adrenaline fade. Ethan, Olivia Blake, Ryan's younger sister, approached hesitantly. She had that mix of nervousness and truth-telling in her eyes I'd learned to respect. "I wanted to tell you something," she said, voice low. "Go ahead," I replied, keeping my tone calm. She swallowed. "Ryan, he left Lena. After he lost his job." I raised an eyebrow. "He left her." "Yes," she said softly. "Completely. She had no choice but to, well, she's doing catering work now to survive." "She's not doing well." I didn't respond immediately. I just stared at the dark skyline, the wind brushing against my face. The karma was quiet, but sharp. The laughter she once directed at me now echoed back in her life. Olivia hesitated, then added, "I know you might have wanted revenge or something, but you didn't seem angry tonight. You just handled it." I shrugged lightly. I realized something a long time ago. Revenge isn't satisfaction. Watching someone stumble doesn't heal you, it only traps you in the past. She nodded, looking at me with understanding. "So you're really okay?" "I am," I said quietly. Seeing her struggle doesn't make me happy, but it's natural consequences catching up. Life is like that sometimes. Maybe we all get what we give. Olivia's eyes widened slightly. "That's actually really wise." I chuckled softly. "Not always smart. Just better than being bitter." She glanced at the empty hall behind us. "She's gone already, right?" I nodded. "Yes." I didn't need to see her again. Tonight wasn't about her. It was about me. About proving to myself that I could rise above everything. Failure, heartbreak, betrayal. I've done that. Finally. Olivia smiled faintly. "I wish more people realized that." "Most don't," I said. "They spend their lives chasing payback or closure through others. I found mine inside me. That's more powerful than anything else." We both stood quietly for a moment, the city lights reflecting off the glass behind us. I thought of Lena laughing at my failure, of Ryan smirking while I was at my lowest, and I felt nothing. Not anger. Not hurt. Just a calm, unshakable peace. "Impressive," Olivia said softly. "Not because of your success tonight, but because of how you handled everything." I let out a slow breath. "Thanks. That means more than any applause or headline ever could." She hesitated. "Do you ever think about what could have been?" "Sometimes," I admitted, "but only to remind myself how far I've come. Not to dwell on regrets. They don't teach you anything if you only hurt yourself with them." Olivia smiled, a small warmth in her eyes. "I'm glad you're my friend's brother," she said lightly. I laughed softly. Guess I've got a good perspective on life now. Who knew failing could be this enlightening? She chuckled, then gave me a quick hug. "Take care, Ethan. You deserve this peace." I watched her leave and turned back toward the balcony. The lights of the city shimmered like gold. The party was over, the laughter fading, and I felt lighter than I had in months. for the first time in a long while. I didn't think about Lena. I didn't think about Ryan. I didn't need closure from them, because I had it within myself. Maybe life isn't about winning or losing. Maybe it's about surviving, learning, and rising. I lifted my glass toward the empty night sky and whispered, "I'm free." The words felt real. They felt final, and for the first time in years, they felt enough. I stepped out onto the balcony, letting the cool night air hit my face. The city sprawled beneath me, a glittering maze of lights and lives moving on. For a long moment, I just stood there, glass in hand, listening to the faint hum of the party inside. "You're quiet," Chloe said softly, stepping up beside me. I didn't turn immediately. "Yeah," I muttered. "I guess I needed a moment." She leaned against the railing, her eyes scanning the skyline. "You didn't need to say anything tonight, Ethan. Just showing up, it was enough." Let out a slow breath, feeling it move through me like water washing away dust. "For years, I carried hate like a scar," I admitted quietly. "I let anger and heartbreak define me. But tonight, I don't feel that anymore." Chloe looked at me, her gaze gentle. "You look lighter, happier even." "I feel it," I said, finally turning to face her. "It's not about Lena or Ryan anymore. It's not about proving anything to them. It's about me. About finally being free from carrying grudges that weren't worth my energy. You earned this peace. You've worked for it, fought for it. Nobody can take that away from you." I smiled faintly. "You know, when I first started all this, I thought success meant proving people wrong. But now, I see it's never been about them. It's about standing tall even when no one believes in you." Chloe tilted her head. "And now, everyone can see you've done exactly that." "I guess," I said, looking down at the balcony's edge. "The irony is, the people who laughed at me, dismissed me. They're still trapped in their lives, watching from the outside, hoping I stumble. And I won't. Not ever." She placed a hand on my shoulder. "Good. Keep your focus on what matters: yourself, your growth, your life." I took another deep breath, letting it fill my lungs. The weight of resentment that had pressed on me for years felt almost non-existent. I could hear my own heartbeat clearly now, not the echoes of past hurt. "And Lena?" Chloe asked gently. I let out a quiet chuckle. "I saw her tonight, serving drinks." She froze when our eyes met. I didn't mock her, didn't gloat. Nothing. She realized too late that her laughter years ago cost her the only person who truly believed in her. Chloe's lips pressed together in understanding. "That must feel satisfying." "Strange," I said. "It's not revenge. Not really. It's clarity. She lost me by underestimating me. But I didn't need her to fail for me to succeed. I succeeded anyway. That's the difference." She nodded. "Silent victories are the strongest ones." I glanced back at the glowing hall, the fading crowd, and then at the city below. I finally get it. Peace isn't silence. It's not pretending the past doesn't hurt. It's carrying everything with dignity, letting go without losing yourself. Chloe smiled faintly. "You've carried it well, and now you can live without it weighing you down." I let my eyes drift toward the glass walls of the hall, knowing Lena might still be inside. Perhaps glancing my way, perhaps realizing what she lost, but I didn't linger on that thought. I had no reason to, I said quietly. For years I thought the world's judgments defined me. Tonight I realized only I define me. Chloe looked at me with a soft grin. "And I think you've done it beautifully." I laughed softly, a sound free of bitterness. "Beautifully, I like that. I finally feel strong, quiet, wiser, ready for whatever comes next." She squeezed my shoulder. "Then let tomorrow worry about itself. Tonight, just breathe." I did. I breathed in deeply, feeling the wind fill my lungs, the city lights reflecting in my eyes. For the first time in a long time, the past didn't pull me down. The laughter, the betrayal, the heartbreak, all of it belonged to them now. I belonged only to myself, and in that quiet golden night, I finally felt what it meant to be free. Chloe slipped her hand into mine as we stepped out of the grand hall. The night air wrapped around us, crisp and clean, carrying the faint hum of the city below. I felt the tension I had carried for months, finally start to loosen. That was incredible, she said softly, squeezing my hand. You handled everything tonight with such grace, I chuckled. A quiet, genuine sound. I think I finally get what mattered all along. It wasn't about proving anyone wrong. Not Ryan, not Lena, not even myself in a way. She raised an eyebrow. Oh, then, what was it about? Living my life without carrying the weight of their opinions, I said. Without letting past failures define me? Without needing them to see me rise? Chloe smiled warmly. Sounds like you've grown a lot. I have, I admitted. It's strange, for years I thought success was about showing them. It's making them regret ever laughing at me or underestimating me. But now I know something different. She tilted her head, curious. What's that? I took a deep breath, feeling the cool night air fill my lungs. Real success isn't when someone regrets losing you. Real success is when you don't need their regret to feel complete. Her hand tightened around mine, and I realized how far I had come, not just in my career, but in my heart. In my mind, I no longer needed validation from people who had once hurt me. That burden was gone. Ethan, Chloe said softly, what's next for you? I shrugged lightly, smiling at the thought. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure, but that's okay. I have ideas for new projects, for challenges I want to take on. I have people I trust, like you, who believe in me. That's more than enough. She laughed quietly. I'll always have your back. You know that, right? I know, I said, squeezing her hand in return. And that's the point. I don't need to look back anymore. I just need to focus forward. We walked in silence for a while, letting the sounds of the city and the distant music from the party fade behind us. The sky was a deep indigo, stars scattered faintly, like reminders that the world is bigger than any single moment of pain. You think they'll ever realize what they lost? Chloe asked. I shrugged again, a small smile tugging at my lips. Maybe, maybe not. I don't care anymore. Their opinions don't define my worth. She glanced at me, eyes shining. That's liberating. I'm proud of you, Ethan. I chuckled softly. Thanks. I finally feel proud of myself too. Not because I proved anyone wrong, but because I didn't let the past control me. I didn't let their actions dictate my happiness. Chloe nodded, squeezing my hand one last time as we reached the quiet street. Then let's focus on what's next. The future's waiting. I breathed deeply, looking at the empty road ahead. It stretched on endlessly, full of possibilities I hadn't allowed myself to imagine for months. The city lights reflected off the asphalt, a subtle reminder that life continues, and so would I. I once thought success meant making her regret losing me, I murmured. More to myself than to Chloe? She smiled knowingly. And now, I said, letting a calm smile spread across my face. Real success is when I don't need her regret to feel complete. We started walking, side by side, hands intertwined, stepping into the night together. Each step felt lighter than the last. I wasn't chasing revenge, validation, or closure. I was chasing freedom, my own freedom, and the chance to define my life on my own terms. The wind brushed against my face, carrying a sense of new beginnings. I felt alive, strong, ready. Chloe glanced at me. You ready for the next chapter? I am, I said, voice steady. More ready than I've ever been. And with that, we walked forward, leaving behind the shadows of the past, the pain, the laughter that had once hurt me. The night stretched ahead, full of potential and promise. And for the first time in a long time, I felt completely at peace. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. The future was ours to shape, not by the mistakes of yesterday, but by the choices we made today. And in that moment, I realized something simple yet profound. I was free.